Okay. Okay, good evening Pankaj, good evening Deepika, good evening Savita. Okay, so we are going to discuss about the the LOTKA-VOLTERRA model. Good evening Saima. So friends, before discussing this particular LOTKA-VOLTERRA model, I'll just give a brief introduction about the species and their interactions. I'm not giving we are not discussing completely about the completely with examples. I'll just give the definitions of all the species interaction. Then we will move towards the LOTKA-VOLTERRA model, that is the today's topic. So friends, you all know very well this particular species interactions as well as the LOTKA-VOLTERRA model. So you all know very well this LOTKA-VOLTERRA model is exclusively important for the part C. So you all know friends, you can get the questions from the statement related. If not, we can also get the questions from a graphical. Correct, na? So many kind of questions we can expect from this particular species interaction. Continue, Akshay. Good evening. So friends, listen to me very carefully. So in the nature, every organism, see, not only human being, friends, every organism in the nature always try to interact with the another organism. Now you can ask me, is there any compulsory, is it obligatory to maintain the relationship with other organism in the nature? Of course it is necessary. See, without maintaining a relationship with the other organism in the nature, none of the organism cannot survive. Of course, whether the interaction may be beneficial, we don't know. Whether the interaction may be detrimental or harmful, we don't know. But it is very important that every organism in the nature has to maintain the interaction with the another organism, which is compulsory. Now friends, all of you look into this. There are many type of interactions are there. Just I'm gonna give the most important what we can say that symbols and what exactly that interaction. So let me give you a simple symbols as well as the what exactly the interaction is, because we can get the questions friends directly from the symbols also which was asked. Even we can get in one column they just give the interaction and they will just ask the definition. Then they can also ask in the another way examples. I always encourage all of you to remember more examples. Okay, so if you remember 3 to 4 examples, that won't be sufficient, because in our CSIR net exam they always try to ask the questions from the recent whichever they found in the niche nature. So that's why it is always idealized to remember little more extra examples. So everyone friends, look into the board. So the first interaction, which we will be calling it as a competition. Friends, the moment you look into the competition, one thing you have to remember. What is the symbol? Both the minus minus. Which means in the competition, you cannot define who is gonna win, because the competition is occurring between two species which are equally strong. An example I am saying, suppose there is a competition occur between two tigers, or there is a competition occur between two lions. We cannot predict which is going to win because both are powerful. Two tigers are powerful, two lions are also powerful actually. So competition is an interaction where both organisms negatively affect each other, or competition is a type of interaction which is completely detrimental to the each other, which is negatively affected with each other. Now predation, when you look into the predation, the common symbol is what? Plus minus. You can commonly understand. Obviously predator is going to win and the prey is going to die. This is one of the fundamental difference between the competition and predation. Always remember friends, competition, both are negatively affected with each other, both are harmed. But in the predation, when I give the minus symbol, you should always remember 99.99% it will die. Which will die? Prey will die undoubtedly, predator is going to win. Don't forget the statement at all. Now, if you look into the mutualism, what is the statement you have to understand? Mutualism, both organisms are getting benefited. There is no harm to any of the organism. Both are maintaining the symbiotic relationship, both are doing the exchange. As a result, both are getting benefited without harming. Then if you look into the commensalism, what you can understand the symbol plus zero. What do you mean by the word zero here? One species is getting benefited. There is no doubt about it. What about the other species? The other species is not affected, at the same time not benefited also. So neither harmed nor benefited. That is what we zero represents unaffected. It is not getting any benefit, at the same time it is not at all getting any harm also. That is what we called zero. Plus represents is what? Of course, one is going to get benefited compulsory. Now friends, when you look into the amensalism, what you have to remember amensalism friends? Minus and zero. Don't confuse between the commensalism and amensalism. Always keep it in your mind friends. In case of a commensalism, one is getting benefited, another one is getting unaffected. But friends, if you look into the amensalism, one is getting negatively affected and another one is friends unaffected. Kindly do not forget the differences. We can expect the questions directly from the symbols also. Next. So friends, the same thing. So let me give you, I don't know why the picture is not clear. Okay. Now look into this. I have kept some good examples here. Mutualism. What we discussed about the mutualism, where both organisms are going to get benefited. And if you quickly recall, we read many symbiotic relationship and relationship between the different type of rhizobium bacteria with the particular leguminaceae plants like a groundnut, pea plant, parasaphonia, all these. Why they are basically maintaining the symbiotic relationship where both are getting benefited and both are involved in the nitrogen fixation also. Now let me tell you one very good example. I am requesting all of you look into the diagram very carefully. You are able to see a moth here. I don't know why the picture is not clear. Understand, there is a moth. What this particular moth is actually doing, we will be calling it as a moth. It is what friends? Eka moth. What this particular moth is doing, all of you listen. Moth pollinate the eggs. Pollinate the eggs and lay all those eggs. So it pollinates and lay eggs on the yucca flower. So now who is going to get benefited? Moth is going to get benefited. Why? Because moth doing the process of pollination also and moth laying the eggs also. And most importantly, in return, how the flower is getting benefited friends? That's the question. In return, moth larva. What the moth larva will do friends? It will spread egg acids. Moth larva is going to spread what friends? It is going to spread the yucca seeds continuously. Because it is spreading the yucca seeds, flower is getting benefited as well as the, since it is laying its eggs, even moth also getting benefited. So both organisms are equally get benefited, which we call it as a mutualistic relationship. And friends, if you look into the competition, what you can understand, see here, fox and coyote. See here, this is a fox and this is a coyote. Both fox and coyote basically compete for one particular species. What is that particular species friends? They are all, they both are depending on the same prey. Prey may be anything. So fox also depending on the same prey as well as coyote also depending on the same prey. Now the point is here what? Fox is very powerful and stronger. Even coyote is also powerful and stronger. Then we can't predict who is going to win. We can't predict that. So that's why we can say both are negatively affects each other. That's an important statement. Now predation. You can say kit fox. What friends? Kit fox is a large predator. What the kit fox is doing? It will hunt and feeds on a small kangaroo rat. Small kangaroo rat. So now obviously who is going to get benefited? Predator, that is the kit fox, going to get benefited. And what about the kangaroo rat, which is a small organism and which is a prey? Obviously friends, the prey is going to get killed. So predation is a type of interaction friends, where only one organism is going to get benefited, other organism is going to get completely died. It is not harmed, it is died. So when the competition occur between the species, this is an interesting question. When the competition occur between the species. Now another point is that, do you think the competition can occur every single time? Every time the competition occur between the species? No. Competition occur between the species when the two organisms fight for the same limited resources. See, you can see the picture. Say an example, this both are eating caterpillars, an example, right, or eating some small insects and all. So when both are fighting for a same resource, obviously it leads to what friends? Competition. And we all know very well, we already read it. There are two, I am just giving the definitions of all. Our goal is to read the LOTKA-VOLTERRA majorly. Intraspecific and interspecific competition. What do you understand? Intra means within. Inter, between the two different species. So friends, if you look into the predation, who is gonna win friends? Undoubtedly predator is gonna win. And what about the prey? Prey is going to die compulsory. There is no doubt about it. Next, mutualism. There are different examples I kept where both organisms are going to get benefited compulsory. So now let's talk about majorly competition and LOTKA-VOLTERRA model. So everyone pay attention from now. So interactions will occur between the individuals of same species, also it will occur between the individuals of the different species also will occur. Now you can ask me a question. So when the competition occur, which is a type of interaction, will it be always harmful? See, 99.99% the competition occur in such a way that only one is going to get benefited, other one is going to get harmed. Originally it has to be happened, but in the depending on the type of organisms involved, we can't predict sometime which organism is going to get harmed and which organism is going to get benefited. We can't say. It depends on the type of species that are competing. Suppose example, there is one large species and one small species starts competing, then we can easily predict who's gonna win in that particular competition. But then two equally strong species are competing for the same resource, we cannot predict which is going to win actually. So that's what friends, how can I define? Competition is the struggle. What friends? Competition is the struggle between the individuals for the limited resources. Because friends, when the resources are abundant, obviously there will be no chance of competition. When the resources are very limited, then only the competition occur. As I told you, look into this: intraspecific competition, interspecific competition. Competition can happen within the same species, with the same species. So you all know, right? Suppose this is an area where plants are there. Many plants are located. Now, in this particular area, the water is very limited. The nutrients present in the soil is very limited. I mean to say, all the resources are very limited. Then obviously all the plants are going to compete for that particular limited resources. Is it or not? So, but the competition is occurring within the same species. That's why we will be calling it as a intraspecific competition. Then what you have to understand, this is a interspecific competition. What do you mean by the word interspecific? It is occurring between the two different species. Say an example, hyenas. Take an example, vulture. Friends, hyena and vulture, basically they dependent on what? They majorly dependent on the dead organic matter. Right, so they basically depend on the dead bodies. Now hyena also depending on the same resource, vulture also depending on the same resource, but hyena and vulture not belonging to the same species. As a result, what happened? The competition occurring between the two different species, that is what we call interspecific competition. So friends, to explain this particular competition, two intelligent scientists, we all know that, named as Alfred J. Lotka as well as the Vito-Volterra. So Vito-Volterra is basically a professor of mathematical physics, University of Rome. In the 19th century only, he is one of the reputed physics professor that time. And there is an interesting news about this particular Lotka. He originally joined as a lab assistant, but because of his keen interest in this particular ecological field, after extensive research, he became the founder of the theoretical ecology. So based on these two people, we have given the name of a model. We called it as a LOTKA-VOLTERRA model. See friends, I am requesting all of you pay attention towards every single point that what we gonna discuss. By that you can understand it everything very elaboratively. First, when the competition occurs generally, you all commonly know that friends, the competition occur between the species whenever they are competing for the same resources only. Suppose example, all of you imagine friends, there is no competition between the species, no competition at all. Then how can we write this particular equation wherever there is a no competition? First let me write a normal equation between two species, normal equation of two species which are growing alone without any competition. So how can I write for the species 1? We can write dn1 by dt equal to, I am writing an equation for the species which is growing alone without any competition. So it will be r1 n1 k1 minus n1 by k1. You all know very well what do you mean by the word k1 here? Carrying capacity. What is n1 represents here? Population size n and population size 1. T represents time. We discussed very clearly what does the R represents friends. R represents intrinsic rate of increase. Now same way, write another equation for the species 2 which is growing alone without any competition. dnt by dt equal to r2 n2 k2 minus n2 by k2. This is the equation for the species which is growing alone without competing with the species 1. So friends, now what is the another statement that you can understand here? Since both species are not competing, there is no doubt about it, then they will show a normal growth curve. Correct na? So what do you mean by the word normal growth curve? First they can show the lag phase, preparatory phase, then followed by the S phase, then finally they will show the decline phase. So it is what? A normal growth equation for the species which is growing alone without any competition. Now the same thing, what you can observe here, same for the species 2 also, it is also growing alone without any kind of a competition, right? So time, right friends, all of you listen my statements very carefully. Whatever the equation that I have drawn here for the two species which are growing alone without any competition. Now you listen, I am only a species 1. How I can grow? First I will prepare myself for the growth. Once I prepare, which we call lag phase, once all the conditions are established, what is happening? I will grow exponentially, which we call it as a log phase. We all know very well. And once it reaches a K, what is that K? I told you many a times, carrying capacity. Once it reaches the carrying capacity, it will enter into the stationary phase, then followed by the decline phase. Friends, here there is no competition at all. So what's the point you have to understand? The species is completely growing alone without any competition. Now the same way, my friends, you can look into the second one. What you can see, the species N2 also growing alone. There is a preparatory phase, there is a log phase, exponential phase, carrying capacity. Once again it reaches to the stationary and a decline phase. There is no problem at all. These two are the equation basically representing about two species which are growing alone without a competition. Now you try to understand. There is a species now which is basically growing in the presence of competition. All of you pay attention towards this. Now friends, whenever a particular species starts growing in the presence of competition, in the same growth equation, I have introduced a simple term. What is that particular simple term that I have introduced? I can call it as alpha. I can call it as a beta. So what I can call this particular alpha and beta, all of you remember friends, alpha and beta, I will be calling it as a competition coefficients. What I can call it as a competition coefficient. See, you have to listen my statement. What do you mean by the word competition coefficient? How competition coefficient explains about the competition between the two species. Now all of you listen. I am a species 1. You are all belongs to species 2. You are all belongs to species 2. I am species 1. How much effect, all of you listen. How much effect I am showing on all of you, that can be explained by this particular competition coefficient. Suppose you all are showing a great competition against me, then how much competition level, or what is the level of competition, or what is the effect of competition that you are showing on me, that can also be explained by what? Competition. In a simple way, always remember my statement, effect of one individual on the other individual, that is what exactly can be given by the competition coefficients. I am requesting all of you look into the equation very carefully here. What is the new term we have introduced? This is the just new term alpha and beta. See, these are the new terms we have introduced. Remaining the equation is same right before. Now, what is the new term I have introduced in the first equation? Alpha N2. Now, all of you listen to me. What the alpha N2 is basically explaining us? It is basically explaining us how much competition can be shown by the N2 on the N1, or the effect of N2. All of you listen my statements carefully. The effect of N2 on the growth and development of the species 1, that is the N1. Now here what is, I have introduced beta N1. Once again, what the beta is showing us? Competition coefficient. What is N1 here? What is the effect of the species N1 on the growth and development of the species N2? So that is what explained by this particular alpha as well as the beta coefficients. Always remember. So friends, before going to the graph, I want all of you people has to remember one important statement. What is that? That is called as Isoclimb Point. Every species who are under the competition, they are all having what? Correct, Gautam. So what you have to understand? A point called as Isoclimb Point. Isoclimb Point. Every one of you listen to me very carefully. Isoclimb Point is a point, always remember, Suppose example, all of you listen, this is the isocline point. This is the isocline point for species A. An example I am talking. This is an isocline point of species A. All of you keep it in your mind, friends. Above the isocline point or above its isocline point, species A, will it grow or it cannot grow, friends? Above the isocline point, species never ever grows. No growth. The most important point, below the isocline point, the species can grow very, very effectively. Always remember that. I am talking, my friends, individual. You should not forget. I have drawn an isocline point for only species A. But when the competition is occurring, it is, good evening Sumaya, when the competition occurs, it is not between the one person, right? It is between the two species. Now you listen. What we have done here, we have taken 0 isoclines of two species which are competing with each other. I will explain twice, okay? Every one of you pay attention towards the diagrams, understand what exactly I am talking. Then if you still did not understand, I will re-explain to all of you. So all of you pay attention. Now, don't get confused. These are all the, this is one isocline point. This is the another isocline point. So what is the point you have to remember? I have taken two species and I have taken 0 growth isoclines of two species. I have to take 0 growth isoclines of two species. What is the point you have to remember? Above the isocline point, species will grow. Below the isocline point, species cannot grow. That is what I told to all of you. Now, when there is a one species, there is a no confusion, but there is a two species. All of you pay attention towards. This is the isocline point for species K2. Okay, or yeah, you can take like that. Even if sometimes you can also call N2. K2 is the carrying capacity, N2 is the species. Now friends, this is the isocline point for the K1 or N1. K1 is the carrying capacity of the species 1. Now I want every one of you look into the diagram carefully. I'll re-explain. Listen. Can I say below the isocline, below its isocline point, N2 can grow? Of course, true statement, right statement. Now above its isocline point, N2 never ever grow, right statement. Now this is the isocline point for what? N1. Below its isocline point, N1 will grow, no doubt about it. Above its isocline point, N1 never ever grow. That is also true point. But here comes an interesting statement. What is that interesting statement? Whatever the isocline point of N1, this is the isocline point of N1. N1 can grow here. Here N1 can grow. But what you can understand, the isocline point of N1 is above the isocline point of N2. See here, this is the N2 isocline point. Is it or not? This is the N2 isocline point. But where the N1 isocline point is present, N1 isocline point is present above the isocline point of the N2, which means in this particular competition, undoubtedly N1 is going to win. Once again, I am explaining for all of you. Whomever having doubts, now try to understand and ask me immediately if you have any kind of a doubt. Listen to me carefully. There are two species N2 and N1 with their carrying capacities K2 and K1. This is an isocline point of the species N2 or K2. Its carrying capacity. This is the isocline point of N1 and its carrying capacity is K1. As we discussed that every species can grow very easily below its isocline point. So N2 can grow here, no doubt about it. N2 cannot grow here. Why N2 cannot grow? Because it's above its isocline point. But N1 can grow below its isocline point. N1 cannot grow above its isocline point. But the question is very clear. N1 can also grow above the isocline point of N2. What is the reason? Listen my statements carefully. Because N1 isoclimb point is above the isoclimb point of N2. That's why in this particular case, who is going to win? Obviously, N1 is going to win. There is no doubt about it. Now, look into the second one. If you look into the second one, what you people can understand here, this is the isoclimb point of N1 and this is the isoclimb point of N2. What all of you can tell me very clearly? Undoubtedly, N1 can grow below its isoclimb point. Absolutely true statement. N2 can grow below its isoclimb point. True statement. But at the same time, this N2 can grow above the isoclimb point of N1 also. So that's why in this case, who is going to win, friends? N2 is going to win. Now, this is the most important one. The third one, which we call it as stable equilibrium. I'll tell you in a very simple way, friends. Try to understand it. This is what everyone, friends, I am writing, just listen. This is the isoclimb point of N2 or K2. This is the isoclimb point of N1. Now you can, so this is the N2 and this is the N1. Here you can easily tell me N1 is going to win. Very simple. And now this is the isoclimb point of N1 and this is the isoclimb point of N2. Here who is going to win, friends? Undoubtedly N2 is going to win here. Here N2, in one case N2 will win, in one case N1 is going to win. As a result, what is happening? The equilibrium is a completely stable equilibrium. Always remember that particular statement without fail. Now look into the fourth case. Now don't confuse this case. Here equilibrium will form, there is no doubt about it. What, friends? Equilibrium will form, there is no doubt about it, but the equilibrium which is formed is completely unstable equilibrium. That is the point I want you people to remember here. Okay, now look into this. In one case, who won here? Here N2 won. Here here N1 lost. Here N1 won and N2 lost. But friends, all of you listen my statement. Whenever N2 is going to dominate, N1 once again try to compete. In this case, when same one. When N1 is going to win, once again N2 will compete, which means equilibrium will form. In one case N2 won, in another case N1 won. But when the N2 won and when it starts dominating, once again N1 start to compete. Once N1 win and try to dominate, once again N2 start competing. So equilibrium will form, it will become break. Equilibrium form, breaks. Equilibrium forms, breaks. That's why we call, friends, unstable equilibrium. So let me summarize. Whenever there is a competition occur between the two species, what is happening, friends? Between the two species on zero growth isoclimb points, what's happening? In one case N1 won, in one case N2 won, in one case both won, which we call it as a stable equilibrium. In the fourth condition, what I said to you, equilibrium will established, but the equilibrium is not a kind of stable equilibrium. Equilibrium is a kind of unstable equilibrium. That's the point I want you people to remember without fail. Okay, friends, everyone say yes or no. Is it clear or not for others? Please tell me, is it clear or not? Please. Okay, is it clear for others? Okay, now I want every one of you to solve this question. Clear for everyone? Okay, everyone look into the question. Can anyone give me the answer? I think diagram is not clear right now. Why it's like that? Okay, anyway, I will explain the graph for you. All of you listen, friends. This is point A. This is point B. Okay, and this is species N, Isoclimb point. This is the Isoclimb point for the species N, and this is the Isoclimb point for the species M. Okay, here alpha, beta actually indicating what? Of course, they are indicating competition coefficients. Common statement. So once again, I am reminding to all of you, look into this picture. In one, this is the isocline. The dotted line is the isocline point of N. That dotted line is the, this line is the isocline point of M, and this is the point A, this is the point B, and alpha and beta are the competition coefficient. Now you all answer my question without looking anything. Who's gonna win here? First tell me who's gonna win. M will win or N will win? Okay, undoubtedly M will win. Right, M will win, there is no doubt about it. Now look into these statements and keep on answering my questions. They have asked a question which is incorrect. That is, they have asked. Now everyone answered. At a point A, population of both the species M and N increases. The statement is true or false? This statement is true or false? At a point A, population of both the species M and N increases. So you only look into this. They have asked which point? The point A. This is the point A. They asked us N will increases, M will also increases. Absolutely true statement, because this is the isocline point of below the isocline point of N. At the same time, it is below the isocline point of M also. Then undoubtedly at the point A, both M and N increases. Undoubtedly option A is the correct option. Now you only look into the option B, friends. Option B, at point B, population of species M increases while that of species N decreases. Absolutely true, right? So this is the for N, and this is the isocline point for M. Now they have asked at a point B. This is the point A, point B. What is the point? They said at point B, population of species M increases. Of course true, because M is growing below, it will increase. But while species of N, of course it decreases. Point, the step 2 also, option 2 also absolutely correct. Now look into the option 3. At point B, population of species N increase while that of species M decreases. What do you mean by that? But originally they have given M decreases, but M should not decrease, right? At point B, M should increase. Hence option 3 will be a wrong option. Obviously, who is going to eliminate it? Species N eliminate. That is also right statement. Then the wrong statement is what, friends? Option 3. Option 3 is the incorrect option. Okay, friends, anyone having any doubts? I will explain. Is it clear, everyone? Perfect, perfect, perfect. So that's the answer. I have explained only LOTKA-VOLTERRA model. I am not explaining the predatory and other interaction example. See, since it's a revision, I want to concentrate majorly on the LOTKA-VOLTERRA model only. Okay. I hope everyone understand the class. Okay, we will meet you in the next class. Okay. I think madam tomorrow is taking, I think she is taking the pedigree. So once pedigree is completed, I will come and we will discuss a very important one, that is the population ecology. As I told you many a times, from the population ecology we will get the part C question compulsory. So we will discuss that particular population ecology. Okay. Okay friends, that's all for now. I'll meet you in the next class. Please revise well. Thank you.